Broadcasting live from the mountains of Montana, get ready for an hour of pure, unapologetic conservative talk radio. Liberals beware, because this is the Wise Conservative Show.
Hello and welcome to episode 117 of the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. And if you didn't know, the past couple days, this is actually day 2 of them, the confirmation hearings of Brett Kavanaugh are actually going on, and I believe the second day of it's still going on as we speak. So the first day started off, and I watched a little bit yesterday live, and I would like to say that I was surprised by the Democrats, but sadly I wasn't, with their behavior and lack of respect for not only the position, but also just the protocol and the confirmation of Kavanaugh in general. It seems like they don't care about whether Kavanaugh is qualified or not. All they care about are petty partisan differences and trying to basically revote on the 2016 election. So for you guys, first off, I have the first 5 minutes of the hearing, which is kind of crazy what happens in it. If you haven't heard it, it'll kind of blow your mind, the amount of disruption and pettiness that the Democrats have shown just in the first 5 minutes. And then after that, I'll probably stop in and talk a little bit right then. But then after that, I have the highlights of the rest of the day 1 of the hearing. So I'm going to play that for you guys just to get started off real quick. So yeah, this is the first 5 minutes to start off of, the chaos that has ensued in just the first couple days of the confirmation hearings.
Good morning. I welcome everyone to this confirmation hearing on the nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh.
Mr. Chairman.
To serve as Associate Justice.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized for a question before we proceed.
Regular order, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized to ask a question before we proceed. The committee received just last night, less than 15 hours ago, 42,000 pages of documents that we have not had an opportunity to review or read or analyze.
You're out of order. I'll proceed.
We cannot possibly move forward, Mr. Chairman,
I
with this
extend
hearing.
a very warm welcome
we have not
to
been
Judge
given
Kavanaugh,
an opportunity to have a meaningful
his wife,
hearing
Ashley,
on this nominee.
Their 2 daughters.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with my colleague, Senator Harris. Mr. Chairman,
Judge
we received 42,000 documents that we haven't been able to review last night, and we believe this hearing should be postponed.
I know this is an exciting day for all of you here,
Mr. Chairman,
and you're rightly proud.
Mr. Chairman, if we cannot be recognized, I move to adjourn.
The American people.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Hear directly from Judge Kavanaugh later this afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn. Mr. Chairman, we have been denied real access to the documents we need to advise.
Mr. Chairman, regular order is called for.
Which turns this hearing into a charade and a mockery of our norms.
Well,
and Mr. Chairman, I therefore move to adjourn this hearing.
Okay.
This is a mockery and a travesty of justice. This is a travesty of justice. We will not go back. Cancel Brett Kavanaugh. Adjourn the hearing.
We're not in executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a roll call vote on my motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn. I ask for a roll call vote.
We're not in executive session. We will continue as planned.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized, sir? Mr. Chairman, I appeal to the chair to recognize myself or one of my colleagues.
You're out of order.
Mr. Chairman, I appeal to be recognized on your sense of decency and integrity. Even the documents you have requested, Mr. Chairman, even the ones that you said, the limited documents you have requested, this committee has not received. And the documents we have, you, sir, have labeled committee confidential. They should be transparent. This committee, sir, is a violation of even the values I've heard you talk about time and time again. The ideals that we should have. What is the rush? What are we trying to hide by not having the documents out front? What is with the rush? What are we hiding by not letting those documents come out? Sir, this committee is a violation of the values that we as a committee have striven for, transparency. We are rushing through this process in a way that is unnecessary. And I appeal for the motion to at least be voted on.
Mr. Chairman.
At least let's have a vote, because when we wrote you a letter on August 24th
Senator.
asking to have a meeting on this issue, you denied us even the right to meet. So here we are having a meeting. Let's at least debate this issue. Let's at least call this for a vote. I appeal to your sense of fairness and decency, your commitments that you've made to transparency. This violates what you have even said and called for, sir. You've called for documents, you yourself, limited documents. We thought there should be more. We have not received the documents that you have even called for. So, sir, based upon your own principles, your own values, I call for at least to have us a debate or a vote on these issues and not for us to rush through this process.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I've heard calls for regular order.
I'd like to respond to Senator Booker. Senator Booker, I think that I respect very much a lot of things you do, but you spoke about my decency and you spoke about my decency and integrity, and I think you are taking advantage of my decency and integrity.
It is.
All right, so that's just the first 5 minutes of this hearing, and you can already hear the disruption, the chaos, the pettiness that the Democrats and their activists that showed up to watch it were doing. I mean, all that yelling, all the screaming, the chants, that was all Democratic activists that came to the hearing specifically to disrupt it. And you hear, they obviously planned this beforehand, the Democrats did, to constantly try and take the time up and to postpone the event, to adjourn, so that they didn't have to actually do this confirmation hearing. And so in this first 5 minutes, you heard them talking about how they just received so many documents on Kavanaugh that there's no possible way that they could have read them all. But their narrative changes throughout the rest of the hearing, and they switch to saying that they don't have enough documents on Kavanaugh. So honestly, I don't understand the game plan that Democrats had. I mean, they definitely delayed it, but Kavanaugh is still going to go through this confirmation. It wasn't until I believe it was 77 minutes late that Kavanaugh gave his opening statement. So Democrats, I mean, they achieved part of their goal, but they also didn't have a cohesive message. They didn't have a cohesive message of, we need more time because you gave us too many papers. But then they switched it to, and you guys haven't heard this yet, but I believe there's part of it in the highlights that I will play for you in a little bit. But then they switched to, we don't have enough documents on Kavanaugh. And their entire narrative is out of hand. Their entire narrative wavers. And you can easily tell that they are just trying to disrupt, that they're just trying to keep Kavanaugh from even saying anything, and they're not even giving him a chance. And you'll see, you'll hear in one of the highlights, Cory Booker already on the first day, and this isn't even that far into the hearing, saying that he automatically will not vote for Kavanaugh, even though he hasn't even asked Kavanaugh questions yet. He hasn't even, at this point, talked to Kavanaugh, hasn't even tried to figure out what he believes or how he's going to rule. But then again, we already know that Kavanaugh is not a political judge, that he's not going to legislate laws while he's on the court. And Democrats want a judge that's going to legislate their agenda from the court bench instead of just enforcing the laws as written and enforcing the Constitution as written. So I'm going to play the rest of these highlights for you guys, and then we can really dig into what's happening in these confirmation hearings and where the Democrats really went wrong.
It's regular order for us to receive all the documents, that this committee is entitled to.
All the documents we have add up to more than we have had for the last 5 Supreme Court nominees.
90% of the documents we haven't seen. It's not the number of documents.
And I'll be glad to respond to that. But
we wouldn't hire an intern, sir, with only 90% of their resume. We're putting somebody on the Supreme Court.
Confidential documents weren't really interested, so that judges would decide cases. As I see it,
this is the first confirmation hearing for a Supreme Court justice I've seen, basically, according to mob rule.
This is what happens in a free country when people can stand up and speak and not be jailed, imprisoned, tortured, or killed because of it. It is not mob rule.
And the American people will see soon enough that you are a smart, decent, normal person who just so happens to have been nominated to the highest court in our land.
In fact, Judge Kavanaugh is one of the most respected and thoughtful judges in the country.
I believe this fight is nothing more and nothing less than an attempt by our Democratic colleagues to relitigate the 2016 presidential election.
That's why there's so many fights about the executive branch and about the judiciary, because this body rarely finishes its work.
This is shaping up to be the hypocrisy hearing, and that's hard to do in the Senate. In today's time, to be hypocritical.
I'm just sorry to see the Senate Judiciary Committee descend this way.
You are a committed textualist, Judge Kavanaugh. If you're going to hold others accountable for their words, you should be held accountable for your own words. So after my personal experience, I start these hearings with a question about your credibility as a witness. I know from my history with you that things you said need to be carefully verified.
You displayed expansive views on executive immunity from the law. If you are in that seat, sir, because the White House has big expectations that you will protect the president from the due process of law, that should give every senator pause.
I join in the request that's been made of you that you show the initiative and ask for a postponement on these hearings. I think that this process has been a grave disservice to you, as well as this committee and the American people.
This, to me, is a profound and historical moment. I cannot support your nomination, not just because of the body of your work, but also the perverse process by which this comes forward. We should not vote now. We should wait. And if we're not waiting, we should object to your nomination.
What guides this nominee is partisanship. This nominee has devoted his entire career to a conservative Republican agenda. I am concerned your loyalty would be to the president who appointed you and not to the Constitution of the United States.
So you saw or heard there a bunch of people from Republicans to Democrats, but pretty much the whole gist of this, it switched to Democrats wanting more documents on Kavanaugh, wanting more of his opinion pieces, opinion statements that he has written throughout the years, and also wanting more of his political opinions that he has had in the past. And the thing is, though, Kavanaugh has more documents on him, and you heard it said on those highlights there. Kavanaugh has more documents on him than the previous 5 nominees combined. They already have more than enough, and that's why earlier they were complaining about the amount of documents that they have to sift through. But they, again, don't have a common argument or stable argument. And so what they're trying to hold against Kavanaugh, and what you hear time after time in the protests against Kavanaugh, is the fact that they believe that Kavanaugh will not only support Donald Trump in this witch hunt that's going on, that they believe that he'll be obstructing justice, but they also believe that he's going to be voting against Roe v. Wade the second he gets on the court. Now, I don't know where they're getting the abortion issue from, because Kavanaugh has said repeatedly that he will enforce the law as written and he will enforce the Constitution as written. He has never once publicly said that he's going to overturn Roe v. Wade. But Democrats automatically believe that that's going to happen so that they can mobilize people against anyone that Trump nominates. I talked about this a while ago when the nomination of Kavanaugh actually happened with the speeches and all that. And I talked about a picture that I saw, and it was from Democrats, and it had every single potential nominee's name, and they already had websites, they had slogans, they had stickers and campaigns ready, no matter who it was, to say that they weren't good for women's rights, that they weren't good for gay rights. I mean, the list was expansive, and they already were going to say any of this about any single nominee that President Trump put up there. Even though Kavanaugh is one of the most qualified, if not the most qualified, SCOTUS nominee that we've seen in a very long time. I believe that it's extremely hypocritical with what the Democrats are doing. Because the Democrats are saying that they're trying to keep this hearing to be, to respect for the hearing, to have respect for the Judicial Committee and the nomination process. And you repeatedly heard Cory Booker reference that. But at the same time, they're the ones who are yelling, who are interrupting, who aren't even letting Kavanaugh really give his 2 cents on anything. And just like what happened with Neil Gorsuch, every time they ask a question, they're trying to twist it so that Kavanaugh messes up, maybe says something about his own opinion. But Kavanaugh, just like Gorsuch, has answered very well so far, saying that he's going to enforce the law. Kavanaugh said that no one's above the law, of course, right after he was asked about if he's going to drop charges from President Trump if given the chance. But the thing is, again, Kavanaugh is a judge, and he wants to be a justice. He doesn't want to be a Trump administration employee. Judge Kavanaugh has an amazing record. If you read through all the cases that he's done, he has an amazing record. And Kavanaugh has repeatedly upheld the Constitution. He has repeatedly upheld the laws. The most important thing that a judge or justice can do is uphold the law, whether they agree with it or not. See, that's something that Obama judges never really understood. They continually implement their political beliefs into their decisions in the courtroom. And Democrats want another liberal activist judge. They don't care about upholding the Constitution. They don't care about upholding the law. They don't care about a judge doing what a judge should do. They want another political activist. They want someone else who's going to be political up on the Supreme Court, that's going to be political to push forward their agenda. But that's not what a justice is supposed to do. That's not the job of a judge or a justice. And for some reason, Democrats can't understand that fact. All right, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show. Hey everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from The Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. But on certain universities, you have these zones which are free speech zones. You have to get permits just to hand out the constitutions to students. You can't say what you want. If you say anything that's conservative, you're automatically deemed as a racist, as a bigot, and not fit to be at the university. Not fit to be in any leadership position. People all across America are waking up and realizing that fake news isn't helping our nation. People are realizing that they don't deliver the facts, nor do they deliver the truth. The fake news era is coming to an end, and that's exactly why Patriot News Radio was created. On Patriot News Radio, you have a wide selection of conservative talk hosts, including myself, with The Wise Conservative Show. Patriot News Radio streams 24/7 on TuneIn Radio, so you can just go to the app or to the website and stream it. Also, if you have a Google Home device, all you have to do is say, "Hey Google, play Patriot News Radio," and there you have it, Patriot News Radio, right in your own home. Patriot News Radio delivers you the facts and the truth 24/7. Patriot News Radio, where America comes to talk.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
How are you feeling today? If you're not feeling great, then it could be what you're eating. The problem is that trace elements are missing in food products today. Trace elements are the minerals that provide long-lasting nutritional value in the foods we eat. Tarsul is a key mix of two minerals that can make you feel and look better. Tarsul's ingredients, sulfur and cream of tartar, have been prescribed by physicians for hundreds of years. Go to tarsul.com now to find out more. That's TARSUL.com to get well now.
Calling all young conservatives. Have you ever wanted to write for an online publication? What about host your own conservative radio program? Now you can, thanks to YouthRevolt.org. Youth Revolt is a conservative media network for young people, the goal of which is to educate our fellow Americans, and also to expose the left-wing indoctrination that goes on in classrooms across the country. Become part of a team that is dedicated to taking the country back, one radio program or opinion column at a time. If you're interested, go to YouthRevolt.org and click on Join Us on the top of the page. Fill out our brief questionnaire, and one of our representatives will be in touch with you in no time at all. The time to reclaim our future is now. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and join the movement today. Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are people in this nation that would have you give up your rights, that would have you turn in your guns. We have these people who are in office. We have these people who are marching in our streets, that are walking out of their schools. People who think that your right is not important. On the Wise Conservative Show, we know that your rights matter, and we will tell you the truth about your liberties. We will tell you the truth about all the issues happening and the facts around all of these debates. For your daily dose of conservatism, for your daily dose of the facts and the truth. Tune into the Wise Conservative Show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. And you know what's kind of crazy about this whole confirmation process that's been going on? I mean, besides just for the utter disrespect that Democrats have shown so far, they've been asking for more documents, but the only documents really that were withheld not only are his political opinions, but also the opinions that he gave when he was a counsel to the White House for the Bush administration, the George W. Bush administration. He was a lawyer for the White House back then, and a lot of these issues that he gave counsel on were national security issues, were issues that require a security clearance or that are even still top secret, you know, that a lot of senators can't even see. And they're throwing a fit over the fact that these papers on top secret things, on high security issues that he gave for the W. Bush administration, that they're not released, even though there's no way that these could be released to the public, which is what they want, which is what they've been complaining about. And so they really have no ground for their arguments here. And it's going to be interesting to see how much they try to delay the confirmation of Kavanaugh, even though they know that he's going to be confirmed to the Supreme Court no matter what. Of course he's going to be confirmed. He's an amazing nominee who has a long history of being a great judge. But moving on from these confirmation hearings, because I'm sure it's all you're hearing about in the news because it is a big deal. There's actually now something going on, of course, more election news. So this Illinois congressional hopeful actually said a pretty extreme comment about our president. He compared President Trump to Osama bin Laden. In a recording that was obtained by the Washington Free Beacon recently, Sean Casten, who's a Democrat, of course, said, quote, "I don't mean to sound overly, hyperbolic on this. Trump and Osama bin Laden have a tremendous amount in common because they have both figured out how to use the bully pulpit to activate marginalized young men. Every demagogue has done this right. Find a group of angry people and give them something to be angry at." Now, this is actually the first time, surprisingly, that I've seen a Democrat compare Trump to Osama bin Laden. We've, of course, seen them compare him to Hitler and other very extreme authoritarian figures. Well, of course, this is going to hurt Casten in his election, and he's already backtracking on it. And, well, his opponent is capitalizing. So the spokeswoman for his opponent's campaign said, quote, "Sean Casten has called Republicans pedophiles, likened abortion to gallbladder surgery, and called Republican Party donors a bunch of morons. Our communities need a solutions-oriented representative who can bring people together to get things done." And, well, Sean Casten does not seem like the person to do this, but he's just the next person in a long line of Democrats, whether it's Cuomo or Obama, Hillary Clinton. A long line of Democrats have likened Donald Trump to very evil people from the past. And likening someone that is our president to one of the most renowned terrorists in history, it's astounding that anyone would go to that place and that Democrats have gone this far. First off, anyone that they don't like, anyone that they think is too conservative or not the same agenda as they have, doesn't have the same agenda, they automatically call them someone evil, insert name here. I mean, we've heard them call other people close to Osama bin Laden in the past. We've heard them call other Republicans Hitler in the past, and pretty much any Republican, according to the far left progressives, are fascist. But the left seems to not understand how ironic and hypocritical all of these statements are. Now, they constantly call Republicans fascist. They constantly call conservatives fascist, and people who want more liberty in our nation fascist, while they push bigger government control over every day-to-day life, which is very fascist, while they continually single out political parties and ideologies and ways of life and denounce them and say that they're not welcome here. That sounds pretty fascist to me. They have a group who calls themselves anti-fascist, Antifa, yet they go around and beat up and sometimes even kill people that have different political ideologies than them. They go around and riot and loot and burn down buildings because these people voted for someone else. That sounds fascist to me. You see, it's not Republicans who walk down the street and yell at you if you're wearing a Hillary Clinton shirt. It's not conservatives who want to expand the government to the size where you don't have any more liberty. No, because conservatives in our nation want more liberty. We want people to be able to speak out and say what they want to say. Yet you have liberals across our nation, Democrats across our nation, trying to get rid of free speech because it offends people. That sounds very fascist to me. You see, every time Democrats label Donald Trump, label Republicans, label conservatives and liberty seekers as fascist, it's the most plain hypocrisy that I have ever seen. All I can think about is the fact that they're the ones who call out anyone and criticize, say that they shouldn't be able to talk, anyone who has a different opinion. You see, our nation was founded upon the principles that anyone should be able to say what they want as long as it doesn't impose restrictions on someone else's rights. It doesn't impose on someone else's rights. Anyone should be able to have free speech. Everyone should be able to have free speech. And that's why the Bill of Rights was written, to ensure that everyone had free speech. But Democrats, for some reason, in this day and age, there's so many in the far left at this point that don't want free speech, that think that free speech is leading our nation into a dark place, who think that free speech is somehow fascist. And so when you see people who want free speech, want more liberty, these far extremists label them as fascist, as evil, as these people that need to be taken down. There's a strange movement in our nation, especially among the millennial generation. A movement in our nation to get rid of our liberties, the same liberties that our soldiers have fought and died for, the same liberties that we had a revolutionary war over, the same liberties that our founding fathers got together and wrote down, liberties that they knew were not guaranteed to us because of that piece of paper, but liberties that were guaranteed to us by birth. But these are the same liberties that Democrats and extremists, and even sadly some Republicans, want to get rid of. You see, there's this movement across our nation to get rid of those liberties. And I don't understand it. This movement is hurting our nation. This movement is not helping us. And that's why we need someone like Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. Because he doesn't care about these political movements. He doesn't care about what party is in power. He doesn't care about what's the new fad in politics. He cares about the Constitution, about our birth-given rights, about the laws as they're written. See, this anti-liberty movement across our nation will not survive very long. Because all across the nation, we also have people who want that liberty. We have people who voted for Donald Trump because they were tired of those liberties being taken away. We have these people who want Kavanaugh to be confirmed because they're tired of those liberties being restricted. We have people even on college campuses across the nation realizing that the liberal administration that blocks these liberties is at its end. America is unique in that we have more guaranteed liberties and freedoms than any other modern nation. America is unique in that we've been a beacon of these freedoms for the entire world. And we have to continually remember that if we let the wrong people get in power, those liberties can be taken away. We have to remember that government is just a burden on the people, that it's not our savior, that it's not who gives us our rights. And especially as an election is coming up, we have to realize that if you follow these movements, these extremist movements for socialism, for communism in our nation, for free healthcare for all, for free college for all, universal basic income, all of these movements restrict you more and add more government. This election coming up is very important because not only does it test whether we want to keep our freedoms, it tests whether we will be able to keep our freedoms. And when you have people like Kasten running, these people that don't care and that think that if you like our liberties, if you like our rights, if you like America, that you're evil, these people are being supported by the Democratic Party now. And you really shouldn't be voting for them. Get out there, make sure you're talking to your neighbors, to your friends, and making sure that they know what's going on. Because this election is extremely important. This election is going to decide our liberties. And if someone like Kasten is elected, he will work full-heartedly to try to get rid of those liberties. I'm going to take one last quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show. Hey everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And that's how a government should be run, folks. You can't legislate based on emotion, based on morality. You have to legislate based on the truth and the facts. It's something that Democrats seem to have struggled with, and something that they continue to struggle with when it comes to the immigration debate.
Do you need money to grow your small business? We are the Business Loan Consultants, and we can help you get money for your business. We have helped many businesses, including fitness studios, general contractors, hair salons, medical practices, automotive shops, and many, many more. We can help get loans ranging from $10,000 up to $1 million. If you own a restaurant and need money for renovations, money to buy new equipment, or simply need working capital, we can help. If you have been in business for at least 1 year and have a monthly revenue of at least $10,000, call us today at 800-460-8679. Banks can take months to approve your loan. You can't afford to wait. We can help you get approved for a loan in 24 hours. If you need money for your business, don't wait. Call us now at 800-460-8679. Get the money you need today.
People all across America are waking up and realizing that fake news isn't helping our nation. People are realizing that they don't deliver the facts, nor do they deliver the truth. the fake news era is coming to an end, and that's exactly why Patriot News Radio was created. On Patriot News Radio, you have a wide selection of conservative talk hosts, including myself with the Wise Conservative Show. Patriot News Radio streams 24/7 on TuneIn Radio, so you can just go to the app or to the website and stream it. Also, if you have a Google Home device, all you have to do is say, "Hey Google, play Patriot News Radio," and there you have it, Patriot News Radio right in your own home. Patriot News Radio delivers you the facts and the truth 24/7. Patriot News Radio, where America comes to talk.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are people in this nation that would have you give up your rights, that would have you turn in your guns. We have these people who are in office, we have these people who are marching in our streets, that are walking out of their schools. People who think that your right is not important. On the Wise Conservative Show, we know that your rights matter, and we will tell you the truth about your liberties. We will tell you the truth about all the issues happening and the facts around all of these debates. For your daily dose of conservatism, for your daily dose of the facts and the truth, tune into the Wise Conservative Show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show for this last segment. I am your host, Connor Wise, and I believe it was last week that I talked about Cynthia Nixon and Andrew Cuomo and really what's going on in that race. Well, it's kind of weird because I have found someone that Andrew Cuomo is not as bad as in New York for the governor's race. But Cynthia Nixon has now been advocating for a single-payer healthcare system in New York. And, well, she doesn't know how they're going to pay for it. So recently she told the New York Daily News editorial board, even though that she's looking to pass single-payer if elected to governor, that she did not yet have a plan to pay for it. She said, quote, pass it and then figure out how to fund it. You know, this kind of reminds me of the Democrats with Obamacare saying you have to pass it to know what it says. But obviously, Nixon is out of her league here in terms of what she's doing. And this is the same thing that happens every time someone tries to implement single-payer healthcare, whether it's Bernie Sanders or Jerry Brown or even her. They never actually say numbers when they're trying to propose it because they know that it's going to cost too much. And the actual bill that has been proposed within New York, the New York Health Act or the NYHA, It would establish universal health care for everyone in the state, including illegals. So it's similar to what Newsom wants to put into place if elected in California. So basically, it was found in a study by the Rand Corporation that this would require the state's tax revenue to increase by 156% by 2022. That's not just double what they already get. It's the same amount that they currently get, another same amount of that, and then half of that again. 156% of what they currently get. And they think this is reasonable. You would have to raise taxes tremendously in a state that already has extreme taxes. And see, this is the same thing that pops up every time someone implements it. There's always studies that come out, whether it's from the Rand Corporation, which has been viewed as conservatively biased a bunch of times, or even universities that are very liberal, finding, like with Bernie Sanders' bill, finding that it will cost way too much for even the federal government to implement, which Bernie Sanders' bill, Medicare for All bill, was estimated to cost $32.6 trillion over 10 years by George Mason University. So basically, it's not doable, but this is something that every Democrat that's winning their primaries has found a way to implement into their actual game plan, which is crazy. I mean, we have Ocasio-Cortez saying that she wants Medicare for all. We have Bernie Sanders, of course. We have Gavin Newsom saying that he wants healthcare for all in California. And Cuomo, of course, wants it, but he wants it on the federal level. Cynthia Nixon wants it in New York. I mean, you have all of these Democrats that are supported by the party urging for this extremely expensive socialist policy. This policy that hasn't worked anywhere. I mean, you have Canadians coming to the U.S. for healthcare services, for surgeries, because their system, their universal healthcare system, doesn't work. Anytime the government get their hands on something, it becomes less efficient. It becomes more costly. It becomes less usable. Yet they want that to happen with healthcare, a very particular practice, a very particular field. Democrats don't know what they're getting into when they say that this will help our nation, that it'll keep costs down. Some of them actually say that implementing universal health care will make it so that it's cheaper for the state, will make it cheaper for the country, which makes no sense whatsoever. But then again, they never understand economics. They never understand how money actually works, how funding something actually works. I mean, they continually propose free this, free that. Oh, universal basic income. Let's pay people to do nothing. Let's pay every citizen in our nation an income, whether they're working or not. Let's also pay for their health care while we're at it. Oh, and might as well give them free college too. But what they don't realize is no one, not one state, not one county, barely any cities have the funds to fund anything that's even half of what I just said. Whenever cities try to implement this, it hurts their budget. They have to raise taxes, and it hurts the citizens in the end because they're paying more out of their income. This sort of system will never work in America. We are too large of a nation to implement it on a federal level, and it's too expensive to implement it in the states that even have the budget to try to do it, because there's too many people in these states, especially when you're expanding it to people who aren't even citizens. But this has been the number one issue that Democrats have been pushing for this upcoming election, and we know that whether it's Gillum in Florida, Nixon in New York, or name any Democrat here, They all want to implement it if they're elected in this upcoming election. And, well, that's just not going to help out our nation, and it's not going to help out any of the states that they're from. All right, that's all for today's episode of The Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. You can find The Wise Conservative Show on Spreaker.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and many more. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you like our page on Facebook. And as always, God bless.